Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today on this article that claims to have the secret phrase to make almost every woman fall for you. And, you know, we like to look past the clickbait and see what's really going on here. So get ready, because we're going to unpack the psychology of attraction, and especially what this article gets right about how women experience desire.
It really is fascinating how this article, even with its outrageous claim, it touches on some really interesting points about desire. Of course, no single phrase is going to work on every single person, but the idea that women are drawn to subtlety and implication, now that's where things get interesting.
Right. Like, I've seen those overly direct approaches totally fall flat. This article argues that women are more attracted to what's implied rather than stated outright. It uses the example of a playful accusation. You're totally flirting with me right now, aren't you? Well, I mean, on the surface, it sounds kind of cheesy, but what do you think is happening there psychologically?
Well, think about it. Instead of just coming right out and saying, I'm attracted to you, this playful accusation kind of flips the script, creates this playful dynamic where you're suggesting that she's the one pursuing you. There's a bit of a challenge there, which can be intriguing.
It's like you're sparking her curiosity, creating a little mystery.
Yeah,
Instead of laying all your cards on the table right away.
exactly. And this ties into the idea that desire, especially for women, is deeply tied to emotions and mental engagement. This isn't to say that initial physical attraction doesn't matter, but the idea is that women often experience desire as something that builds gradually through mental and emotional connection.
Okay, so it's more about creating that spark, that initial intrigue that can lead to something deeper.
Precisely. It's like in a romance novel. You don't jump straight to the climax, right?
Right.
The author builds tension slowly, dropping little hints, creating anticipation. That slow burn can be incredibly powerful.
So, instead of being super direct, maybe try creating a sense of anticipation in your interactions. Like, instead of saying, I really want to go out with you, maybe you say something like, I know this amazing place, and I have a feeling you'd love it.
That's a great example. You're not stating your intentions outright, but you're creating a sense of intrigue, a desire to know more.
And I guess that ties into the article's point about how bluntness can be a turnoff. It's not about playing games, but it's about understanding that women often appreciate a more subtle, nuanced approach.
Absolutely. And this is where the article makes a really important point about respecting boundaries. Being attuned to someone's signals, both verbal and nonverbal, is crucial. It's not about pushing your agenda. It's about creating a dynamic where both people feel comfortable and respected.
So, it's less about trying to convince someone to be attracted to you, and more about creating an environment where attraction can naturally develop.
Exactly. And this is where the article's discussion of using slightly daring questions comes in. It suggests asking things like, have you ever gone skinny dipping? Or, would you ever kiss someone in public? Nay, these might seem a bit out there, but there's a reason the article highlights them.
Yeah. I was wondering about that. Is it just about being edgy? Or is there something deeper going on?
It's not really about being edgy as much as it's about subtly introducing those topics of adventure or intimacy without being overtly sexual, like you're dipping your toe in the water. Before you dive in head first, you're gauging her comfort level, seeing if she's open to those kinds of conversations.
So it's about testing the waters, seeing if there's that shared sense of adventure, a willingness to maybe explore those boundaries together.
Exactly. And it's also about reading the room. If she seems uncomfortable or shuts down the conversation, you just back off. It's all about being respectful and responsive to the other person's cues.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not about manipulating anyone. It's about creating a dynamic where both people feel comfortable and engaged. But I'm curious. The article talks about how these techniques tap into the power of imagination. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. Think about it. When someone asks you a question like, have you ever gone skinny dipping? It conjures up those images and feelings. Even if you've never actually done it, it sparks your imagination. And that's where desire often begins, especially for women. It's not just about what we see, it's about what we feel, what we imagine.
So it's like you're planting a seed, creating a space for her to explore her own fantasies and desires.
Precisely. And that's why the article draws a parallel to romance novels. They're masters of building tension and anticipation, creating those elaborate worlds that readers can just get lost in.
You know what? That's a really interesting point. I never thought about it that way, but it makes total sense. It's not just about the physical act itself. It's about the emotional and mental journey leading up to it.
Right. And that's something we can apply to real-life interactions as well. It's about creating a sense of anticipation, a desire to see where things go, rather than rushing to the finish line.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about what this article gets right, But I'm also curious about the potential pitfalls it mentions. It specifically warns against being too explicit, coming across as needy, and not reading the room. It seems like common sense, but is there something deeper going on there psychologically?
Absolutely. On the surface, these seem like obvious things to avoid, but when you dig a little deeper, you can see how they tap into some fundamental psychological principles.
Okay, I'm all ears. Break it down for me.
Oh, let's take being too explicit as an example. When you're overly direct about your intentions, you kind of kill the mystery. It's like revealing the ending of a movie before it even starts.
I get it. You take away that suspense, the anticipation. That can be so alluring.
Exactly. And when you come across as needy or desperate, you're essentially broadcasting a lack of confidence and self-assurance. And confidence, as we know, is a huge factor in attraction.
That makes sense. It's like you're saying, I don't believe in my own worth, so I need you to validate me.
Precisely. And as for reading the room, that's all about respecting boundaries and being sensitive to the other person's cues.
Right. It's about recognizing that everyone has their own pace and comfort levels.
Exactly. It's about paying attention to both verbal and nonverbal signals and adjusting your approach accordingly. It's about being present in the moment and responding authentically to what's happening.
So it's not about following a script or using some magic formula. It's about being mindful, respectful, and genuinely engaged in the interaction.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And what I find so refreshing about this article, despite its clickbaity headline, is that it moves beyond those superficial techniques and focuses on the deeper elements of attraction, emotional connection, mutual respect, and the power of shared experiences.
And that's something we can apply to all kinds of relationships, not just romantic ones. Building rapport, creating intrigue, respecting boundaries. These are all valuable skills that can enrich our interactions in all areas of life.
I completely agree. The principles outlined in this article, while framed in the context of romantic attraction, have much broader applications for building meaningful connections in all aspects of life.
So while the secret phrase might be a bit of a gimmick, the article does offer some genuinely valuable insights into the psychology of attraction and how to create a dynamic that feels exciting and fulfilling.
Exactly, and it's important to remember, it's not about manipulating anyone or playing games. It's about understanding what makes us tick, how we connect with each other, and how to build relationships based on mutual respect, genuine interest, and a shared sense of adventure.
You know, it strikes me that this idea of subtlety and creating intrigue, it isn't just limited to romantic relationships. Have you ever noticed how some people just have this way of drawing you in, making you want to hear what they have to say, no matter what the topic is?
That's a great observation. It's like they've mastered the art of storytelling. Even in everyday conversations, they pique your curiosity, make you feel like you're in on a secret. You can't help but want to learn more.
Exactly. And I think this article gives us some clues as to how to do that. It's not about being manipulative. It's about understanding the power of suggestion, of creating a sense of anticipation and wonder.
Absolutely. Think about it in the context of work. Let's say you're trying to get your team excited about a new project. Instead of just presenting the facts and figures, what if you framed it as a challenge, an opportunity to solve a mystery or break new ground?
Ooh, I like that. You're tapping into their sense of curiosity, their desire to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Exactly. And you're not dictating the outcome. You're inviting them to co-create the journey. That's where the real magic happens.
So it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. It's about creating a sense of shared exploration, a feeling that there's something exciting waiting to be discovered.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. And it really speaks to the power of this idea, even beyond the realm of romantic attraction. It's about approaching life with a sense of curiosity, playfulness, and a genuine desire to connect with others on a deeper level.
Well said. So to our listeners out there, we encourage you to experiment with these ideas in all areas of your life. See how a little bit of intrigue, a touch of mystery, can transform the way you interact with the world. You might be surprised at the connections you make and the experiences you unlock.
And remember, it's not about manipulating anyone or playing games. It's about approaching life with an open heart, a curious mind, and a genuine desire to connect with others in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you to explore these ideas further. Until next time, happy exploring.